And let's start off where we left off last time. And that was with you saying that Bitcoin is the second largest position in your portfolio. You were saying, this was December of 2023, around December 29th, and you were saying that we were in a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity where retail investors, mom and pop, can front-run institutions ahead of the Bitcoin ETF launch. You said, stock up on Bitcoin, buy. As we know, Bitcoin this week hitting a new all-time high, $69,324, I believe, according to Coinbase. So, Gary, you were right on that move. What have you done in this rally? Did you sell? Did you take some profit? Are you buying? What are you doing right now?
It's good to get lucky, hit that little pot, be interviewed at the right time by a professional and make the right call, right? So wait a couple of years and I'll be wrong. But I think the thesis of a very rare commodity will play out that one, it'll be the greatest investment opportunity in a lifetime, probably many lifetimes. And for me, it's an accumulation play at this point. I think it really is going to depend on what happens in the next week or so. But, all-time highs get punched through. And we're at a not only all-time high, but a market cap all-time high. I think you should really start looking at Bitcoin as a $1.3 trillion asset and just don't even talk about price. We literally get a market cap quote every day on the size of Bitcoin because I think it's just going to shoot through the Googles and the NVIDIAs. I think this is NVIDIA when it was 25 years ago, like literally at the start of the .com. So, which pretty good indicator what's going to happen. And that's a hardware company. No one would have predicted a hardware company would be trading at $2 trillion. For me, and it has monopoly exposure. Bitcoin is a monopoly.
So
it has no exposure.
Got it that you're a very, very big Bitcoin bull long term. But in terms of the short term moves, I'm assuming you didn't sell. You're still accumulating.
Selling.
And
I've never sold a Bitcoin except to buy a company and then I bought it all back.
So can I jump in and just ask a question then? So I guess the question is, we've just run from 50,000 break of the spot ETF high. Would you buy here or would you say wait for a 10,000 retrace and then buy? Like for you yourself, are you screw it?
It's the only way. It's the only way I
care about it.
It's the only way I think about it. Is, hey, what am I doing? Right. And that's why I'm actually very few people that talk about trading will say, hey, this is what I'm doing. And I'm not giving you advice. I'm giving myself advice. Right. And actually talking about it, really, it
does help.
The dialogue going through the what ifs. I've accumulated. I will continue to accumulate. At 67, this does not bother me at all. In fact, I would suggest that $67,000 today is still risk adjusted, better than it was at 15, 25, 30 pre-ETF. And now we know how much volume. Actually, today we know real volume is showing up here, real volume. And I think that volume is just the beginning, the trickle coming through the hose. This is not RIAs. Everybody keeps talking about all these institutions, RIAs buying Bitcoin. That is not happening.
So when you say risk adjusted, you're saying it's a less riskier bet at 67 now, given that we've got the institutional play.
We have people from Qatar flying around meeting with massive whales. So we're getting a lot of intel we would never have gotten 25 years ago on NVIDIA. Mm-hmm. The intel in Bitcoin is fascinating. So yeah, I think this is a great investment for my children.
And Gareth, I know big picture,
right?
Big bull as well with Bitcoin, but you are expecting a pullback based on our previous conversation and based on what the charts are telling you. You do think that we're going to have a slight pullback, I think, back to the 50,000 support level.
Yeah. So usually assets, and again, I love what you said about it. Don't consider it that it's Bitcoin. Treat it like anything. Look at market cap, look at whatever. Just so basically when I look at charts, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be anything, commodity, crypto, or stock. I just look at human behavior, and human behavior tends to get overly bullish, which then creates these drops like we saw very recently where it went to 69 and then back to 59 very quickly. And oftentimes it likes to just check back to home base, which is the previous breakout level. So just in terms of expectations, if I look at 1,000 of these charts, generally I would say 800 of those 1,000 will check back to that previous level. Now, could this be to the 200 that don't? There is a possibility, right? You do have this new money coming in. You have all these other factors that are now at play. But I do worry, and again, my only bear case on Bitcoin at this stage is that the risk bubble, the bubble of the assets that we are seeing before us in the stock market and very many other places, if that starts to burst, then I do think that there are people in Bitcoin that are not in it for the 20-year horizon. Mm-hmm. They're in it for the short term. Oh my gosh, this asset is just going nuts. Let me throw money in it at a 10x, 20x, 50x leverage. And those people need to get washed out. And that's usually what happens on those retraces.
Right. And that's the point that we've made, that now you don't just necessarily have the diamond hands, the hodlers. Now that it's a more of a mainstream Wall Street asset, it could be subject to more volatility, to more mainstream Wall Street moves of taking profit, buying back in. A lot more volatility is what you're expecting now as a asset class.
I think the more extended it gets, the more volatile it can be, like we just saw. But I do think that over time it becomes less and less volatile, because as you get bigger institutions involved, they're not going to get swayed by these price actions or news stories. I mean, they have more data than any of us. And so they're going to just say, hey, listen, we see this big macro picture and we're going to stick with it. So like, you know, you don't see Apple, for instance, or even some of these other stocks moving at 10% clips intraday that are multiple $1 trillion, because there's so many pension funds in them and so many other asset portfolio managers. And I think that's what Bitcoin eventually comes. So eventually people that are in it for the quick buck are going to be like, well, this is no fun. It's like the gold trade, right? I mean, people aren't in gold for the quick buck. You certainly don't make like 10, 20% in a day on gold. And it's going to be the same type of thing.
Well, you